Welcome, wildflowers. It's good to see you. I invite you to tune in with your heart. This is a basic element of life. I encourage you to go to sleep, let go of your heart, and when you wake up, return to it. Find your heart when you wake, lie on your back, be present, breathe there. If you know how, do the key ring. If you don't, just be with your heart, then go learn the key ring. Your presence here is a blessing. It might be difficult to remember that sometimes. The challenge is that in so many ways, you are likely haunted by elements of existence that you wish to forget. The challenge of a divine awareness, a sacred awareness, is that the brutal memories cut into the beautiful ones. The naivete, in a certain sense, of bliss puts you in a position where brutality, greed, hostility destroy so much all at once. And the only way to transcend this presence is to be exposed to it enough to inoculate you. In so many ways, that is what the earth is doing. It doesn't seem that way, certainly, but to appreciate that the gift she has given us is well beyond what you can register within this life. It's just not possible. You can't do it. And so I invite you to transcend. This invitation is opening. This year, something is shifting into gear that has been in the works for a long time on the planet. To be present with these changes is to recognize that we've done it. In so many ways, we are on a new timeline. Truly, you ran the risk of going a different direction. If you lived more fundamentally in denial, you would not be here. You would be going on a different path. And make no mistake, we're still the paths are like this, right? So there is a potential to move back and forth between them as they separate. Give it another 12, but 10 years now, something in there. That people can move back and forth between some significant timelines of potential, of possibility. To appreciate the way this works is to open yourself to a much greater depth of awareness about what is happening here. We are choosing a far more loving future. And to fully invest ourselves in it is to live it a bit early. I do my best to keep telling you this, and I will continue to. If anything, I think some of the greatest blessings I've received, I was putting into what I considered evergreen content on the channel on a practical level. I've been trying for years to get down this and this and this and this, just a vast range of insight. And I'm like, well, I made a video about that, move on. Now I think we're shifting here too into a presence where it's like, hey, we've got to reinforce this. This has got to be more prayerful, more sacred, more about the emotion, more about the investment. It's not just about knowledge anymore. You can go back and look through all the old videos if you want to learn in depth. Now we're going to be bringing it up again and again and again. It's up to you to choose to be part of the beauty, of the love, of the potential, of the possibility. Make no mistake, you may well be dragged along into a new timeline, but not enjoy it for quite a while. You've made the fundamental choices, but you're not invested. You're not putting your work into it. This is work. We have to clear paths and re-clear them because they grow with weeds quickly. And to become the kind of person that could participate in making this possible is the greatest joy. There's nothing better. How many suffer? And you're suffering within a sense that the things that oppress you are sort of fixations. They're part of the fabric. They're part of the environment. You can't do anything about it. It's like it's raining. Well, first of all, when it rains, you can learn to love the rain. But with more abusive or detrimental, actively detrimental patterns, you can do a lot more about them than you think. And to become the person that faces your challenges is unparalleled. Because when you take some of the greatest challenges you face right now and you learn to match them and just slightly overcome them, now you know the next one's not nearly as daunting. You're doing much more than tackling the first of 20 challenges. You're developing the art of becoming the kind of person that stops shrinking, that stops cringing from that which haunts you. Make no mistake, developing safe spaces everywhere has no realistic future if you don't take on the whole world. The whole world needs to be a safe space. You can't do it just for people who look like you, or just for your country, or just for your family. For sure, start with it, but if you don't hold the intention to extend, you will fall apart. This is the secret, sacred, intense truth about life on earth. She'll help you develop a clear space and divine love around you and your family, but she won't maintain it with you if you don't extend it to others. I get this incredible experience of blessing people very directly. I get to know that I'm having an impact. It's an incomparable blessing. I fought for this. Whew. Right before going live today, I changed the cover photo. I don't know why I did it, but I had dredged up an old photo. I didn't take photos for years. I didn't give a shit. I was done with technology. I was done with a consumerist society that was eating everything alive. And I became someone that was very wild and free. I loved it. And this is a picture, one of the very few pictures that survived from those times. And I'm drawing on that energy now because I am learning to reclaim that sense of aliveness within exactly the life I'm living through you. I'm reaching out and I'm calling you. What do you need to do to be wild and alive? Please consider this. Consider this in a manner that lasts. I suppose the greatest concern would be someone lurches from a lethargic, hopeless survival state into dramatically, wholeheartedly pouring yourself into a new future, but you don't have the resilience to make it real yet. Look, we are here to help support you in a sustainable transformation. There are certainly perils in facing your challenges that you don't have to face if you try to hide from them. But I want to encourage you to believe that hiding from your challenges is far, far more damaging than confronting them and becoming the kind of person that no longer shrinks, that learns to turn and face and clear a path for yourself and those you love. How much can you take on? Do you even know? Where are your limits? You can't find your limits unless you want to. You need to want it. You need to want to become the kind of person that's drawing the future, the loving, peaceful, beautiful, passionate, powerful future of life on earth into reality. You need to want to become a conduit for this. Do you? Do you even know? I assure you, you will initially confront a conception of who you would have to be and then wrestle with that conception. And it's invariably wrong because once you make a little bit of progress, the horizon changes. Everything, your outlook changes. You have to grab sort of sometimes even an absurd sense of who you want to be, hold it, and realize that it'll dissolve and become something better. What is it? Right now, and please comment if you have the courage. Please stay join us in the live after these, we're going to be shifting to more direct readings because more people are showing up and we can't afford to give everyone attention. For the past year or so, we've gone around in a circle and given everyone a chance to talk about their lives. It's been amazing at bonding and building community. If you don't know, we are building a sacred community together. You can access it through the website, the sanctuary, the Wildflower Sanctuary. You are a wildflower, a wild flowing spirit of this earth. And it's likely that you confront incredible challenges just making life work because your fire, your spiritual presence unsettles the world and unsettles your own mind. And it's confusing learning to come to terms with your passionate presence, your incredible spiritual paranormal awareness that you may or may not know for what it is. Because when you don't know yourself for what you are, you suffer in ways that are deeply confusing. If you try to interpret yourself through a paradigm that can't hold you through likely the white intellectual disease. Do you know about this? I want you to know it, name it, and talk about it. There is a white intellectual disease. We're going to be this stark because it was made by white men and it was stuck in the mind a long time ago. This is a disease that goes around and tries to understand everything before it does anything. It's a tremendously cowardly disease. It's the general who leads from behind and runs away before his troops get slaughtered. It's the mind that pushes other people to explore, doesn't do it themselves. When you come to terms with the fact that you have to make some decisions without knowing what will happen, you have to make some deep, courageous steps in your life without a promise of what it'll look like. When you come to terms with this, you're going to start to be a new kind of person right away. You don't have to achieve your goals yet. You're just stepping on the path where you want it. And you let that want start to influence your reality. Because when you let yourself feel it, you start to reshape right away. You start to become the kind of person that can do it. And that is the ultimate fulfillment. But notice it works together. You have to own the goals. You have to own them. You don't have to succeed at them. You have to own them, which means likely you're going to have to start wrestling with, all your plausible concerns. And I want you to learn to recognize this is stepping out of the white intellectual disease. It's stepping out of a desire to understand and explain beforehand. And it masquerades as caution, wisdom, but it isn't. It's actually fear disguised as power. Really, that's all it is. We're going to take power over ourselves by looking out into reality and identifying everything that could go wrong ahead of time. Now, this masquerades as, well, that way we'll prepare and plan for it all. But I assure you, this has a strong potential to be overdone. When you do this too much, you're manifesting what you think about. If you spend too much time thinking through the lens of caution, you're going to find the things you're afraid of, and you're going to find them again, and you're going to find them again. You will confirm your own bias repeatedly. And what you're actually doing is worse than that. You're creating a reality. You are tuning in to a reality that generates the things you're afraid of. Now, here's the great news. You're not on, what is it? You're not all powerful. It's not all up to you. Please disregard those who attempt to explain life this way. It's not. You're in a shared world. You don't get, thankfully, you do not get to generate reality exactly the way you want it. You don't want the power to do this because you're not aware enough to generate a healthy reality. That's why living in the kiddie pool of, I'm going to manifest this job and I'm going to manifest this card table, I'm going to manifest this. Like, if you just go around and think of spiritual manifestation as like a shopping spree in your mind, this is a kiddie pool, I assure you. The transcendent level is to become in deep harmony with an interplay between yourself and the world. And in this interplay, you're putting out there what you hope for, full-heartedly, total focus, stepping on it, trusting it, with the complete awareness that it will be dissolved and returned to you better. but it won't look better at first. It'll look like, oh shit, this didn't work. It'll look like frustration that you tried to do something and it didn't happen. And you need to learn to tune into to recognize the reason it didn't work is because you're missing a lot. There are layers, dimensions of presence that you need to deal with. Now, ultimately, this is more about blessings than baggage. But yes, indeed, for quite a while, for years, in fact, this may well look like you ask for something big, you get told to face your anger issues. Certainly, that's what's happened for me. You ask for something deep, you get told to face your inner sickness that masquerades as caution, but is really just a deep-rooted fear of reality itself. Again and again, you will be taught to confront the things that stand in the way of you living a much better, more beautiful life. And you need to learn to love these. You need to learn to love what happens when you put an intention into reality and it doesn't work. And this is the point where you start to learn the subtlety of discerning. Does it require more effort? It does, for sure. But what is that more effort? How do you need to adjust? When is adjusting the right thing to do? When is adjusting the right thing to do? And when do you need to learn to push through? There are plenty of challenges that just need sheer effort. Sheer effort. You got it. You can do it. You just need to keep challenging yourself, and you need to push yourself to the point of exhaustion, rest a little, and get up before you think you can. That's what it takes to survive in many circumstances. And if you don't put yourself in a position where you're challenged in these ways, you're going to get sick in a far more frightening way. I am far more frightened to waste my life than to try. And I love finding places now. I get this. I love finding places where I'm afraid, where I've been making choices based in I'm afraid of failure, because it's like, oh shit, it's up to me. It's up to me. I can learn to face that. And I will. Thank you for being here. Welcome back. Welcome to the new year. I can't see very well. I'm a little deep today. I've started a 10-day fast. Last night I felt like I was on day 9. I'm on day 2. The intensity is surreal. My socks are ruining me. I've been in a much more intensely vibrant state. And I'm looking forward to this continuing. I'm watching my intentions manifest so remarkably quickly. I just imagine into potentials and I feel the energy change immediately in my body on a substantially deeper level. I've gained access to more influence because I've dealt with more of my problems. And in fact, recently, I've just confronted several challenges that I wasn't honestly looking at. And as I confront them, I'm unleashed to have this incredible influence. Like I just contemplate an intention and it starts to, I can feel the spiritual presence around me. The other day I made a mistake. It was one of the most hilarious mistakes. And I want you to hear this because this is how subtle you have to get. You get into a space where every thought matters. You want to get into this space, but I want you to be a little afraid of it because it's incredible. It's like the power of it is strong. When you think about someone else, it's always been influencing them. Always. If you think about someone with negativity, it goes there. It's just likely a drop in the bucket of the overall challenges you face together. But at a certain point, you want to stop investing in truly unhealthy dynamics, even in the subtleties of your mind. Like if you're remembering someone from your past through a lens of their mistake, maybe you did that because you didn't know how else to push away from them. But now it's time to get over it and realize there were a lot more complexities present in the relationship than you recognized. And it's your job to take ownership of what you were contributing that was negative. Even the worst situations. And I'm speaking to 5 of you I know of and 100 of you I don't. Even in the worst situations, you do not want to remember a negative situation with someone else through the lens of how bad they are. Be present with that. You do not want to remember a negative situation with a relationship in your past through the lens of how bad they are. Because that's deeply disempowered. If you go back into that equation and you say, okay, Luke, I needed to end this. It was awful. They hit me, they broke me, they did this, and this. It was terrible. They lied to me, they cheated, they did everything, the worst you could come up with. They did it. Undoubtedly, that is evidence of why you should not continue to try together. It was too terrible. And where was your baggage? Where was your negativity? I want you to look into it. This is not the same as victim shaming. This is pure energy. There were two people in a relationship in your past. You both made a mess. Perhaps that other person really was much worse than you. I don't know. You're here. I'm inclined to, you're here. We're going to be inclined to take your side, right or wrong. It's going to be biased, right? But it's likely you're right. They were much more awful than you in certain respects. They were. Fundamentally, they crossed boundaries you didn't cross, and there's no way you want to keep living with them or creating with them. I got it. I'm with you. I honor you. I hold the boundary with you. No. Now what? You got to heal this shit. You don't want to generate negative energy that will attract anything similar. It's not all equal. It's not all equal. I'm wondering if I should be on this tangent. And I just check in with my guidance. They're like, yep, you're right where you need to be. Sometimes you might manifest a deeply negative energy through whatever reason. You're ashamed of a failure. You're depressed that you didn't take on a challenge. You're angry at an ex who mistreated you. So every day you're generating this little flower of gunk. You're making it. It's real. It's in your resonance. So despite all the good things you're focused on and trying for, despite all the kindness and the positives about you, you're also manifesting this stink bomb of an energy. Well, guess what? That stink bomb attracts other people. And it's not always equal. For whatever reason, sometimes you might attract a much worse person. Someone who's mathematically generating 5 times as much negativity as you. They're doing it. It's real. But they like you. You're yummy. They like eating your negativity, and then they get to eat some of the other stuff you're trying to create because you doubt yourself, because you know you got some shit going on. So you doubt yourself, so you're not really ready to manifest a big, beautiful life. So they are the agent of your self-sabotage. You see this? This is where your responsibility is. You don't want to spend your life identifying as a survivor of the negative things from your past. I am talking to many of you. Don't take it personally. You don't want to spend your life thinking that way. You want to identify where your power really is so you can free yourself to take on your best challenges, but you won't be able to do it unless you zero in on what's in the way. Let's do this. In this year, let's take this on together. There is power in presence, in community, in numbers. There is incredible influence in taking on challenges together and sharing and talking about them, in honoring each other, in calling each other out with love, in doing this together. Where is it? Where are your deepest challenges? Where are they? What's the obvious goal you want the most? Whoops, put down the challenges. What do you want? What do you really want? I want to know what your big dream is that you've been saying no to. I want to know what it is. Once you speak it out loud, it's scary, right? It's like, oh, now I might fail. You're already failing. Not to bring it to the surface. That's you. Be honest. There's no shame in this. It is a very deeply shared pattern. We all do it in different ways. You want to know what some of mine are? Like I'm out here. I'm taking on my biggest dream. It's working. Last year, we more than doubled subscribers. It's awesome. Like something's flowing here. There's quite a little space of the things that I've been afraid to bring to the surface because I'm afraid they'll fail, because I'm afraid they won't work as well as I see them in my heart. Now, as soon as I say this, I'm like, of course I want to do that. But I have to say it. I've got this incredible mic. where people listen. I've earned it. And as a result, I can put out an intention like this, and it is much more powerful because it's witnessed by a lot of people. This reshapes things. Now, it's not always that simple. Like, more is not always better. But when we're in coherence, and you know me as well as I believe many of you do, if I tell you I have a dream of doing really dynamic, deeply present public healings, you know I mean it. And I bet you a lot of you believe in me. Now, I've done this. I've done this in the past, and it's fire. It's fire. Like, the last time I did it was over 10 years ago. The last time I did it on the level I'm capable of was over 10 years ago. And a woman broke into a screaming fit. Now, she was on LSD, and I pegged her deepest pain. I wasn't quite as mature. It was at a festival. And I wasn't quite as mature in how to hold space, but I did a good job. In a certain regard, I shrank from that challenge. In another regard, I had a lot more shoring up to do. I want to go back into this, and I know it'll unleash a lot, and I'm nervous. But we're going to start making it real by doing this every week after class. After class, I'm going to be doing readings. A couple of things I want to say about this. We've been sharing a meditation. For those of you who have not joined us, we share a meditation in a Google Live. It's open to all of you. And then we've gone around and talked about what you experience in that meditation. Now, this is a very empowering model. I like it a lot because it's about teaching you to use the skills and insight and dynamics of wildflower fire to help heal yourself. I want this for you more than anything. I can't carry everybody, and I won't pretend to. If I empower you to take care of yourself, give a person a fish. They eat for a day. Eat for one day. I want to teach you to eat for a lifetime. I want to teach you how to take care of yourself and others. But I think people need to learn how it feels to be present in the depths first. I've been jumping the gun a little bit. And those of you who have done this together, those of you who have been building the community thus far, thank you so much, because it's working. And we've got a bunch of people going through a training for this work who are effectively helping others on very profound levels. It's working. We can teach you how to take care of yourselves and others. But this middle step is, I want to show you how it works. And there's no shame in saying, like, come eat. It's eating that's not taking from anyone else. I'm not giving you, it comes through me, but when it's needed, this is very akin to Reiki. The need in you draws spirit through me. I am able to be a conduit for divine energy in this way. And it's important to appreciate that that's how it works. So we're going to record this, and I'm going to tell you 5 times I am going to share this recording. We might post it in the sanctuary for other people to learn from. We might post some of them on YouTube. You need to be willing to be witnessed. And if you're not, don't try it. But the willingness to be witnessed is super powerful. Now, let me tell you, I want your help. We're trying to bounce to a new level here. A lot of ideas about how to help more people at once are flowing around and through me. But the model I've been using thus far is to get paid for individual sessions. Now, a certain small number of people have effectively supported my life and this channel by paying substantial amounts of money for sessions and courses. A small number of people make this possible for thousands now. I want to expand this in a way that, spreads out the burden and empowers you more deeply. And what that looks like is more people getting on board. If enough people join the sanctuary and join the courses, then we can loosen the pressure on the small number of individuals who've been making this possible and empower all of you to do a better job taking care of yourselves and each other. So consider joining the sanctuary. Hop on over to the website, wildflowerfire.com. It's linked in the description. And click on the sanctuary tab. Now, I'm going to tune in, see what we're doing. All right, how much time we got? Perfect. Perfect. Little in a couple minutes, 33, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, we're going to do a yoga break. I want you to consider not leaving. If you leave, go outside. If you go to another YouTube video, get out of here. When we do yoga, it's a time to do a little yoga. I want to make it very normal for you to consider getting up in the middle of an hour of activity to do a little bit of stretching. Eventually, this could become challenging. I don't know whether I'm going to do something easy or challenging or not. I'm on a fast, but it doesn't matter. Get up and give your body some attention. Breathe life into your spirit. Make a choice on your own. Don't compete with me, compete with yourself. Make a choice on your own, because sometimes what you really need is something gentle. There is no shame in that. I'm on a fast. That might well be what I need. I also just learned a new kind of handstand. I'm really excited about it. So I'm sort of obsessed with getting it in throughout my day. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But in a couple minutes, we're going to do that. Before we do, who's here? I can see. Frank, thank you for being here. Kim, welcome. The dirty work. This is such dirty work, and you got to learn to love it, because the dirty work turns into new soil. So I want you to know that this person who has agreed to be known by this name is going to have much more of a garden than many, because when you stare right at the dirty work and you do it on purpose, it all turns into soil. Until you do it, it won't necessarily compost properly. If you don't properly compost your dirt, there are seeds from the past that are in there and will grow right in what you create. You have to do it right. You do it right, you got a lot more. Thank you for the riff, dirty work. Thank you for being here. Who else is here? Show me who you are. Show me what you are dreaming of. Ryan, good morning. Thank you for being here. Operation No Control. Ooh. Well, take some control. A little, not too much. When people take too much control, they need less control. When people take too little control, they need more. You can control your mind so much more than you think. But in order to make it work, you got to commit to very deep dreams. You got to compete with yourself to aim deeper. You want to know what happened last year, this time, my fast, 10-day fast. This is the prelude to my yoga break. Last year, this time, 10-day fast. I'm doing one every year this time. I realized I really, really wanted to get my handstands down, and I have never perfected them. I never came close to perfecting them. It was always like a dream. If I tried to kick up, maybe it'd work, maybe it wouldn't. I became obsessed over the next 3 months, and by my birthday in April, I got them down so well that I do multiple handstands almost every single day, and I love it. Now, you want to know what happened? I was getting a little stuck. I wasn't getting better. In fact, in certain respects, I was getting a little sloppier. And I realized mentally, I was saying, this is enough. I wasn't looking deeper. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. As soon as I committed to some challenges I still can't do, to go deeper into it, it started to work again. You got to keep dreaming. It's kind of scary, and it should be. There's this temptation to say, this is enough, as if that's wise, as if that's humble. It's not. You got to keep dreaming so the energy will keep flowing to you and challenging you into your depths. Take a break. Watch or do. Find your heart. In that much time, you should be able to feel your heart. Get your heartbeat up. Do something challenging enough to get your heartbeat up. If that is your challenge, think about how manageable this is. Now, here's the cool, I want you to understand this dynamic. Listen to this 5 times. I swear to God, it'll change your life all by itself. I don't often say that. If your goal is to find your edge where you could get your heart rate up in a minute or two, you're getting out of your head. What does it take to get your heart rate up? Now, here's why it's scary. I mentioned this before. This is what will change you. You have to keep going. Because as you develop, you become more resilient. You gain endurance. I want you to notice this fear that likely you've never named. Never named it, and yet it probably is a substantial boundary to your progress. Looks like this. You're scared of how powerful you can be. You're scared of it. There's a horizon that's just frightening to look at. It's really daunting. To know that you're capable means that you have to take much more responsibility for your life. And it's likely you're sabotaging your own progress because you're afraid of this gaze. This deep, broad gaze that is honestly aware of how far you can go. And as a result, you're avoiding this dynamic. And I'm telling you, it's as simple as just aim to raise your heart rate several times a day. Now, it gets more than that. If you aim to raise your heart rate several times a day, you're going to start to be more frustrated with stiffness. So now you're going to want to do longer practice of some sort to take care of that stiffness. But if you keep doing that for a month, 1 moon cycle, you do it for 1 moon cycle, you're going to get stronger. So now you have to do more to get yourself into the same depths. Be afraid of this. Let yourself feel this fear. In the same way, you're afraid to stick your hand into the fire, right? Please be afraid of this. You're afraid. This is fire. But are you going to live without fire? You need to learn to manage it and be present with it. Find the fire within yourself. Find your capacity to wake up this fire. And it is as simple as find a challenge that gets you there quickly. Quickly. What's going to raise your heart? I'd like to see a couple people tell us now or in the comments afterwards. What raises your heart? What does it take? Notice it doesn't matter. You could be 80 years old, climbing up the stairs raises your heart rate. You did it. Get it? You did it. If your goal is to access this presence in your body, stop living in your head and realize that head goal, you still need it, but it has to stop taking such priority. It's a gentle power that says, I really want to learn my handstand. Now I'm going to push myself until my heart rate is so intense that I got to take a break again. And that's all I did last year. Every day, almost. I would just push myself until I was kind of sick of it. That's what it took. That's what it took. It's work over time. If you're sitting there measuring failure, oh man, it's not like that. You know this clay pot? Somebody remind me of who this guy is. I like him. He has this short that's heavily produced, but it's about this clay pot lesson that a professor, a potter, but he was a teacher also. And he took 2 groups of students, and he took one group and he said, spend a month and make one amazing pot. And he took another group and he said, make a pot every day. By the end of the month, they took all the best pots and put them together. And most of the best were from the group that made one pot every day. Because if you get yourself to keep doing something over and over again, you stop measuring each one and you just develop the craft. You develop the skill. You developed making it normal to work at it. This is what we're doing when we build in disciplines. The goals have to keep receding. And so eventually you get into a place that it feels a little ridiculous. I'm 50 years old. I'm realizing that I can I can achieve physical goals that I gave up on when I was 40 years old. When I was 35 years old, I gave up on certain challenges that now I'm like, oh shit, I can do those. And I want to. I got another, 20 years where I could be in tip top shape by maintaining this approach. I want it. I want it. And I have to want it in order to have the vibrancy flow. But once I put that into play every day, I'm not measuring that I failed by not getting it. I'm just going to keep working. I'm going to keep making another pot and another pot and another pot because I know the end result of this is success. Now, who are you? Who are you? I'll tell you who you are to me. At a certain point, I got so disillusioned by the world, so depressed by the pressure to conform to patterns and sick social, economic, capitalistic, heartless, spiritless ways that I started seeing them in everybody. And I got sad and I just started saying no. And to my even deeper sadness, the more I said no, the better I felt. The more I said no to this option and this option and this person, the better I felt. And I thought I was callous on a certain level. I thought I was being mean in a way. I was always a very kind person growing up. At least many knew me that way. I knew myself that way. I was kind. I didn't like teasing people. I didn't like getting angry at people. I withstood a lot of pressure. I said things with grace if I ever could. I said I was sorry when there was need. And when I started developing a thicker skin and treating smaller rudenesses as a sign of who people are and say no to them and ceased dreaming of creating with them, I started finding people who are much more loving. Who you are to me is people who have responded to me being myself, to me being my purest best. When I share my deep spiritual journeys, my deep spiritual connection, the people who arrive are, you're the best people in the world. You might not know yourself this way, but that's who you are to me. You're the people who are most worth spending my time with, my heart with. I am grateful for your presence on levels I can only begin to articulate. You give me hope. 25 years ago, I barely had hope. I was so sad by what I confronted in the world. I was so sad to see negative patterns around me in a way that I didn't feel were escapable. Now I feel so much more hope. So many of you mirror things I say. If you peruse the comments on our videos, so many of you say, hey, I was just thinking that last week. It means the world. The world is giving us inspiration, sacred guidance, the possibility of tuning into something more beautiful. It's not just through any one person ever. There is so much more hope in the recognition that we are sharing a dream already. What are you going to do to make it real? I already love you for being here, for caring, for knowing this, for being able to dance with this spirit. Now I want to be someone who helps you be your best even more. I want to push you and I want to respect you to know when you have to calm down. I have been too cautious. It's daunting being an influence on people. It needs to be. And yet, in that caution, I feel like I've been speaking to fears too much. There's a confirmation bias in it. Look, when the fears and the pains come up, we've got a lot of help for you. Check out the website. I'd like to encourage you to consider the Winter Arc Bundle, which we're going to extend. It's present there. It means you get a session, membership of the sanctuary, and the Sacred Creatures course. This is like basic training in how to survive as a wild flowing fire in the world. It's the best that I've learned. And to accept this is to have medicine for what ails you and empowerment for your true dreams. And in the process, we circle back again and again and again. What do you really want? And I mean this on a practical level. This is where your gold is. What's your quiet dream? Now I'm going to say, don't tell us. Don't tell us. It's okay to keep it safe and close, but tell yourself. Tell yourself and say it again. Say it again the next day. Admit you want it and start to rest on it. Rest on it. Stand on it in your mind. Say, this is me. Don't say one day. Don't say maybe. Don't say back burner. Say these. Because the truth is, if you say, I want to learn to levitate, maybe that won't happen. Maybe that will. Rest on it, because it's the spirit you put there that matters the most. If you don't put yourself with your best spirit, you're not going to have an easy time. You might think it's safe. It's not safe, because you've just put a loose swinging wrecking ball in your psyche. If you don't own your full self, you've got a loose swinging wrecking ball just moving around, ruining whatever else you try to create. If you try to create your backup plan with your primary energy, you didn't really succeed in ending your true dreams. You didn't. I promise you. They don't go away. They don't go away. At best, you will wrestle them into stillness, and you will have Parkinson's by the time you're 70, maybe even 60. Maybe worse. We are living in a world that has a terrible understanding of the basic foundations of health. When I say we, bless the living souls of everybody who's in a community that doesn't work this way. But the majority of allopathic, westernized, white intellectual disease medicine that has spread all over the world has a very distorted view of reality. And I want to bring this into you really quick. It's deep and it matters. Set aside your understanding of all of it, all the names of diseases, and think in terms of energy. Diseases that manifest in mental patterns or physical patterns that are deeply dysfunctional, they're sick. The disease manifests in those ways, but that doesn't mean that's where it originates. Doesn't mean it's where it originates. If your roof keeps getting holes in it and all you do is patch your roof, you're not going to be able to withstand the hail. You have to strengthen your roof. You can't blame the roof in a way that puts you in a position where you're endlessly thinking just about the roof. Now, let's put this in a slightly different way. If you do something every day, you're the one who's doing it. Over time, those patterns are going to manifest in negative ways in your mind and in your body. To appreciate that you have a deep investment in what you are choosing every day, let's look at the simple way this works. If you repress your deepest feelings, you're going to get sick. If you resent your spouse because of something they do, but you just suffocate this resentment with a mental idea, like, I don't have a right to feel that way, you're going to get sick. You're going to get sick. If you never express hostility, if you're always accommodating and you kind of absorb other people's emotions, you're going to get sick. You're going to get sick. You might have identified in your mind, this is what a good person does. You're going to get sick. Your body and your mind will get sick. If you have an incredible dream, but you live in a pattern where you are not allowed to invest in that dream, you're going to get sick. If you're trying to pay attention to your deepest inspiration, but you're daily told you have to pay attention to something else, you're going to get sick. Now, these things look like bipolar disease, manic depression, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's disease, cancer. This is what they turn into. But to appreciate that the foundations are spiritual resonance built out of daily habits and patterns. And they're an interplay between what you do and what you think. What you do is an expression of these core values that are sometimes one sentence. Angry people are mean. I'm a good person who always listens. That's a very simple statement, right? But it's boundaryless. Really? You always listen, huh? What if someone comes to you with bullshit saying it's everybody else's fault they're suffering and I just need your help? You're such a kind person. Can I talk to you again for 2 hours tomorrow? And what they really want is for you to help validate their bullshit. You're going to get sick and they will feel a little bit better, but they will never be challenged to confront their true terrors, their true sickness. They'll never leave. They'll never leave as long as you feed in the same way. If you don't challenge people to change by using the boundaries of anger and no, how many of you have a problem with the word no? There is a deep sociological sickness. It's a deep, deep sickness that says you can't say no. You want to know what they were doing? Most of you who have encountered this, please speak to it in comments, because it's a real problem. It's a whole field of energy. There's a whole field of energy that says you can't say no, you have to change it. It operates on this fundamental truth. There's a momentum in reality. If somebody comes to you with their thing, whatever their thing is, they want you at the very least to allow their thing to exist near them. That momentum helps them be who they are without being challenged to change. But if their thing is detrimental to you, in this one way of looking at things, you have to adjust to them to keep the momentum going. If you just say no and stand in the way of their momentum, you're the one who's ruining it. Moreover, when their pain comes to the surface because they've been denied their coping mechanism, you've denied them their coping mechanism, so their pain comes to the surface, so you're the one who did it. This is the sickness that tells you you're not allowed to say no. It's a deeply irresponsible, victim-y, bullshit way of being, and there's tons of people who live it. Tons of people who live it. And they operate on this basic mantra. The people who are losing probably deserve to lose. The people who are losing, they're probably the worst. And it's not the case. It's not the case at all. When you commit to facing reality honestly, you actually get to just leave energy fields that work that way. But it typically ends with some kind of firm no. And when you're resisting saying no, because you're unconsciously living within this boundary of unspoken value against stopping other people's coping mechanisms, you're taking on the sickness, and it'll manifest as something that gets named, and they'll send you to a hospital. There's a reason the United States has 4 times the level of chronic disease as most major other wealthy societies. But many, many societies, as they industrialize and they join these patterns, they join the sickness too, because they've over-prioritized economic and social standing, economic success and social standing, and under-prioritized their basic health. Their basic health, the things that are measurable. There's a picture. Maybe I should leave it. There's a picture on this live of me 15 years ago. I had likely I didn't have $1 to my name at the time. I was very healthy. I sang and did yoga almost every single day. I prayed, meditated almost every single day, often deeply. I pushed my edge repeatedly. People really appreciated me often. I was kind, gracious, dynamic, loving. I had company frequently. I made friends all over the place. And I didn't have $1 to my name. If you put social standing and money first, you don't even know what you're sacrificing. I'm absolutely challenging you to take a deep look at your priorities. And it's terrifying. It's much different once you have a family, right? Take on that challenge too. It's hard. Doesn't mean give in. Your kids want you to be alive. Your kids want you to be happy. Your kids want you to be healthy. That's the foundation of what you're teaching them. You can't make up for lack of attention to your children with a lot of money on certain specific events. You can't make up for lack of attention for your children by giving them something lavish, signing them up for the most expensive program. Your children want you to be happy and to thrive. Yeah, they'd like a nice house too. I'm just saying, make that come second. Put your health, your vibrancy first, and tap into the way of life that gets it all. But you can't reverse engineer it. You have to take care of the things that are always up to you, always within your grasp. You got to put it first. You got to get that heart rate up every day, several times. Nobody can take that away from you. I have almost been arrested 50 times. been in situations where I could be arrested 50 times. I was arrested twice and I got out of it pretty quickly both times. But I was, never anything that probably none of you would be unhappy about. Being in places I wasn't supposed to be in, swimming in places I wasn't supposed to swim in, protests, more protests, activist actions, smoking cannabis in public, entirely victimless crimes, but crimes that rocked the boat, crimes where I was triggering people. And I was able to move through confrontations with authority figures with grace because my intentions were deeply rooted in a desire to be loving to everyone and to say no to a society that believes when you trigger them, it's your fault. And I found that people repeatedly would honor that dialogue. I could talk to them again and again about exactly the dynamics I saw. That the world is holding shit down. The world in the United States, for sure, they're holding shit down. Everybody's just trying to get by. They're trying to watch media that goes faster and faster and faster to help distract you from your pain, to help distract you from your sense of failure or your latent anxiety over the way things work that you don't believe you can affect or change. And so people distract themselves from the core challenges. And if you come through as someone who's vibrant and taking care of yourself, you rock the boat. You shake their system. It's almost impossible to face yourself with honesty without challenging the people around to do so. And you don't have to do it with your mind. You do it with your presence. You're tapping into deep spiritual presence. Other people are denying the depths of their deep spiritual presence because it wakes up all these latent baggages. When you tap into it, you're uniting your attention with a deeper energy. Where attention goes, energy flows. You unite your attention with a deeper energy. All you got to do is unite it. This is as simple as the get your heart rate up. All you got to do is put your attention on the deeper potential. And you're starting to make it real. You're starting to resonate it. And as you resonate it, it's rocking the boat. And you will encounter repeated patterns of behavior around you that try to hold you accountable when you trigger other people. And you got to be prepared to say, no fucking way. Face your shit. And if they won't, you got to say no. And this is the point at which you got to disengage from this entire pattern of karmic hiding, this blaming each other for triggering, codependent, not facing your shit reality, where people are trying to get you to heavily invest in a whole layer of reality that's not, it's shallow. It's not just shallow, it's in denial. And it comes at too high a cost. What are you really dreaming of? Don't comment. Sometimes it's time to share, sometimes it's not. But tell yourself what you're really dreaming of. Please be honest and do it again tomorrow. And if it seems absurd, stay with it anyway. It might change. It might become more reasonable, but only participate in that change out of staying with the spirit of it. The spirit itself might show you that your original conception was a little outlandish or just out of tune. But if you don't rest with it, you won't be able to reclaim the spirit that's invested. That invested spirit will be a loose wrecking ball, messing around with your psyche, undermining your choices. You will be self-sabotaging if you attempt to deny what you really want. Rest in what you really want and allow life to show you how it can become even better. I'd say that's a pretty good mic drop. I love you. I truly do. I hope you'll come join us in the sanctuary. We're going to do readings. We're going to record it. May well post it. I want to do this a lot more. I have been given a sacred art. I didn't even do the deep dive I wanted to, talking about. All right, I'll finish with this. There's a sacred community in where I live, largely elders, And they tell stories every 12th night. And as they share, this is a tradition that goes well beyond the origins of Christianity. They just sort of reframed it when the Christian church took over. As the light reemerges after the dark days, the winter solstice, it's time to tell stories and bring light purposefully into each other's lives. And there's a local community that does this every year. Now, 10 years ago, I went and I told the first part of a story. And then we went back last night and I told the second part. And it was one of my deepest fears to tell this community that my entire life is grounded on this experience I had of being drawn down. There is a society of beings beneath us. It is not quite as simple as they live in caves. They live in a different dimension, a different relationship, density that enables us to be a part of the fabric of the earth, minerals. It's a different relationship to consciousness. And there is a city under many locations in the world. It's essentially a city. Start by thinking of it that way. Under many locations in the world, there are these nexuses of consciousness. And they do interact, but they are existent within relationship of the currents of the earth. So they're energy lines, ley lines, as some call them, all over the earth. And this is where much more conscious, deeply invested in the earth beings inhabit. And they have a profound influence over our reality. They are seeding us with ideas, thoughts, patterns, inspirations. And I was taken there. I was taken to this city called Telos. It's a Lumerian presence, as it's often referred to. And I did not want to leave. I didn't want to leave. I'm not making this dramatic. I cut it down to the bare bones. This is what happened to me. This is what I rest my life on. I returned with the trust that it had happened in the presence of a blue angel. Thoth. He continues to guide me, and he's given me this work to do. And I look forward to sharing it with an even deeper level of presence than I ever have before. Thank you for making it possible. Much love. Be with you and your families.